You really think you belong here? The man laughed loudly, tossing Danielle's resume across the sleek glass desk like it was trash. Sweetheart, this job ain't for people like you. You should be sweeping the sidewalks or cleaning the bathrooms. Danielle froze. Her heart dropped. The words cut deep, not just because they were cruel, but because he said them loud, in a room with 3 other employees nearby. And they heard everything. Her fingers clenched around the strap of her bag. She stood there in her simple navy blouse, clean but worn, her hair pulled back in a neat bun. She'd practiced answers for this interview for days. She'd spent her last $4 on the bus to get there. And this man, this interviewer, this corporate man with perfect teeth and fake cologne, just spit in her dignity like it meant nothing. Let me back up. Danielle Martin, 23 years old. Bright, soft-spoken, from the south side of Chicago. Her mom cleaned offices. Her dad passed away when she was 10. Danielle made it through community college with night shifts and scholarships. She studied hard, never broke the rules, and believed good things would come if you worked hard enough. But life doesn't always care how hard you work. That morning, Danielle walked into the interview feeling nervous, but hopeful. She'd applied for a marketing assistant role at Goldspire Technologies, one of the biggest tech companies in the city. She didn't have experience, but her cover letter was strong, and her volunteer work stood out. She'd even helped an old man who was lost during a storm last month. She gave him her umbrella and walked him 3 blocks to safety. Just a kind moment, nothing major. She thought maybe, just maybe, kindness and effort still mattered. But now, standing in this cold interview room, she realized something else. To this man, her skin, her clothes, and her background erased everything else about her. Sir, I'm qualified for this job. I know how to. He cut her off. Listen, I don't care how many community classes you took. We're a global tech firm, not some charity case. He leaned back in his leather chair with a smirk. And I'm not about to take a chance on someone who looks like they got off a bus from the projects. Danielle's chest burned. Her jaw trembled, but she didn't cry. Not yet. She simply reached down, picked up her crumpled resume, and nodded. Thank you for your time, she whispered. She walked out with her head as high as she could keep it, until the elevator doors closed and the tears finally came. Outside the building, the city roared with traffic and busy people. Danielle sat on the steps in front of the tall glass tower, pretending to scroll her phone, trying to breathe. She felt like trash. Invisible. Small. Her reflection in the glass didn't show someone worthless. It showed a young black woman trying her best. But to the world, was that ever enough? She didn't notice the black SUV pull up at first. She was wiping her eyes when it happened. She stood, turned around too fast, and bumped into a tall man in a sharp gray suit. His security detail, 2 stern-looking bodyguards, immediately stepped forward. Oh, I'm so sorry, Danielle said quickly, stepping back. I didn't see you there. The man looked at her. Really looked. A flicker of recognition crossed his face. Wait, I've seen you before, he said. His voice was calm but curious. You helped that elderly man in the rain last month. On 6th and Marble. I saw you. You gave him your umbrella. Danielle blinked. Why you saw that? She tried to smile but couldn't stop her voice from shaking. Yes, the man replied. And I remember thinking, people like that are rare. He glanced at her face, the puffiness in her eyes, the resume still clenched in her hand. You okay? Danielle hesitated, then said it. I just had an interview. And the man inside, he said I should be sweeping streets. That this job wasn't for people like me. There was silence for a moment. Then the man slowly turned his head toward the building, his building. Danielle didn't know who he was, not yet. She had no idea that the man she bumped into was Nathaniel Pierce, the founder and CEO of Goldspire Technologies. But his expression said enough. Anger, disgust, and something else, resolve. Come with me, he said. Sir, she asked, confused. Trust me. He led her past the stunned bodyguards and into the building. The receptionist stood up, startled. Mr. Pierce, sir, do you need something? Get me Derek from HR and Harold from PR. Now, he said sharply. And tell your head of recruiting to meet me in conference room C in 10 minutes. Danielle followed behind him, unsure what was happening. Her heart thudded. People looked up from their desks. Whispers started. They walked into the conference room. Nathaniel gestured for her to sit. You're Danielle Martin, right? He asked gently. Yes. He gave her a nod. Then you deserve better. Much better. 10 minutes later, the interviewer, the same man who mocked her, walked into the room looking confident, until he saw who was sitting at the table. He turned pale. Mr. Pierce, I didn't know you were in today. You interviewed Miss Martin today, Nathaniel said calmly. Correct. The man's smile cracked. Why yes, sir. I did. But she's clearly not. You told her she should be cleaning streets. Nathaniel's voice was like thunder now. You insulted her. You humiliated her. All because of how she looks. The interviewer began stammering. Yes, sir, that was just a misunderstanding. Nathaniel stood. There's no misunderstanding here. I saw her help someone when no one else did. I saw her kindness. Her character. She is exactly the kind of person I want in this company. You. Not so much. He looked at HR. Effective immediately. Terminate his contract. Danielle gasped. The interviewer started shouting, but security stepped in. And just like that, everything changed. Outside, an hour later, Danielle stood beside Nathaniel. She still looked stunned. Why did you do that? She asked quietly. He smiled. Because what you did that day, helping that old man in the rain, said more about your spirit than any resume ever could. And I want people with heart on my team. He handed her a new paper. It was an offer letter. Not for an assistant. For a paid leadership internship, with full mentoring. Danielle started crying again, but this time, the tears were different. Danielle sat at the far end of the long boardroom table, blinking back disbelief. She had a company ID now. It hung from a lanyard around her neck, shining with the words, Danielle Martin, Executive Internship Program. It felt like a dream. Just a few days ago, she was walking out of that same building, heartbroken and humiliated, told she didn't belong. Now she was sitting across from department heads, taking notes, asking questions, and being heard. And it was all because one man, the CEO, saw something in her that no one else did. Welcome to the team, Nathaniel Pierce had said, shaking her hand with a firm, steady grip. You don't need to impress me. You already did that out there on the sidewalk. Just be yourself. The words echoed in her mind every time she felt the doubt creep in. And there was doubt, plenty of it. Danielle came to work every morning before sunrise, reading every document they gave her, learning acronyms, understanding marketing funnels and conversion rates. She stayed quiet at first, listening, absorbing everything. But slowly, she started speaking up. And when she did, people listened. Because Danielle didn't just bring answers. She brought perspective. Real, human understanding. She thought like a customer, like someone who had been overlooked, ignored, and underestimated her whole life. Now, that perspective was her power. One afternoon, Nathaniel stopped by her desk. How are you holding up? He asked. Danielle smiled. Honestly, better than I thought. Still feels surreal. He chuckled. Good, because I'm putting you on the Henderson pitch. Her eyes widened. Wait, that's the $8 million client. Exactly, he said. You'll join the strategy meeting and give input. I trust your instincts. Danielle nodded slowly, trying not to panic. She wouldn't waste this opportunity. But not everyone was happy about it. In the background of Danielle's new chapter stood Marissa Hale, VP of Strategy, sharp, polished, and cold as ice. She'd worked her way up over 15 years, and she didn't like unqualified interns being fast-tracked by the CEO. Especially not interns like Danielle. At meetings, Marissa would interrupt her, correct her, dismiss her points with fake smiles. But Danielle kept going, kept showing up, kept proving herself. And slowly, other executives began noticing too. 2 weeks later, during the Henderson strategy session, Danielle took a deep breath and stood. Everyone turned toward her. I know I'm the newest one here, she began, but I've been researching this market, and I think we've been talking at the customers instead of with them. She tapped her slides. Clean, simple visuals. We're targeting people who look like our boardroom. But Henderson's customers? They look like me. They ride buses. They stretch paychecks. They value community and trust over flashy branding. She paused. If we speak their language and show them we care, they'll listen. And they'll stay. Silence. Then Nathaniel nodded. She's right. Just like that, the entire pitch shifted. And the Henderson team loved it. Danielle's inbox exploded the next day. Great work, Danielle. Loved your insights. Hope you're on more projects. Her confidence grew. But so did Marissa's resentment. One Friday evening, Danielle walked out of the office late, exhausted but smiling. She didn't notice the car that slowly rolled behind her as she walked to the bus stop. She didn't notice the tinted window crack open. Inside sat Marissa, watching, plotting, because Marissa had a secret. She knew the real reason Nathaniel had been at the front steps that day. She knew why he saw Danielle help that old man. Because Marissa was the one who called the ride off that day, forcing Nathaniel to walk past the front of the building for the first time in years. She hated how things unfolded. Danielle was never meant to be anything more than a fluke. A charity case. Not someone rising in the ranks. But Marissa had a plan. One that could destroy Danielle, and possibly bring down Nathaniel too. Back at home, Danielle sat on her worn-out couch, calling her mom. "Ma, you won't believe it. They let me lead a piece of the Henderson pitch today." Her mother cried softly on the other end. "I always told you, baby. God don't miss. You were meant for more." Danielle smiled through tears. But something didn't feel right. She couldn't explain it, just a sense in her gut. Like someone was waiting for her to fall. Danielle arrived early on Monday, as always. The sun was barely up, and downtown still hummed quietly in the soft morning light. Her heels clicked confidently against the polished floor as she entered the building, clutching her notebook and a reusable coffee cup she could barely afford to fill. She waved politely to the front desk, scanned her new badge, and took the elevator to the 30th floor. The moment the doors slid open, she noticed something off. People were quiet, heads down. Conversations paused when she walked by. She tried to brush it off. Maybe it was just Monday morning blues. But her gut told her otherwise. When she sat down at her workstation, she saw the email. Subject, urgent, meeting with HR. Time, 9:30 a.m. Location, conference room 7B. Her stomach sank. She'd done nothing wrong. She worked harder than anyone. This had to be a mistake. But deep down, she felt it. Someone wanted her gone. 30 minutes later, Danielle sat alone in conference room 7B, fidgeting with her pen. The HR manager, a thin woman named Elena with tight smiles and tighter blazers, entered with a man Danielle didn't recognize, someone from legal. Elena smiled as she sat across from her. "Danielle, thank you for coming in. We wanted to speak with you about a concern that was raised." "What concern?" Danielle asked slowly. The man from legal slid a paper across the table. It was a printed email. Danielle scanned it, her eyes widening. It was a message supposedly from her, sent to a vendor, making inappropriate jokes and demanding gifts in exchange for continued partnership. Her heart stopped. This isn't mine," she said, voice trembling. "I didn't send this. I would never." Elena looked uncomfortable. "We're not accusing you of anything yet. But the email was sent from your company account. We're obligated to investigate." "It's fake," Danielle insisted. "Someone set me up. Please, check the login history. I never wrote that. I never even spoke to this vendor." The legal rep scribbled notes. Elena offered another tight smile. "We're putting you on paid administrative leave while we investigate." Danielle's world spun. Leave. She was being kicked out. Just like that. Danielle packed her things in silence. Her co-workers avoided eye contact. The walk of shame felt longer than usual, every step echoing with humiliation. As she waited at the elevator, someone approached from behind. "Rough morning," a voice said. Danielle turned. It was Marissa, sipping her almond milk latte like it was the finest wine in Rome. Danielle didn't reply. "Look," Marissa continued with a faux sympathetic tone. "I know it's hard being new. So many moving parts. Easy to make mistakes." "I didn't make a mistake," Danielle said firmly. "Of course you didn't," Marissa smirked. "But sometimes perception is everything. Take care." The elevator doors opened. Danielle stepped inside, fists clenched, heart broken. She knew now, someone had gone to great lengths to ruin her. She didn't go home. She walked. Miles through the city, thoughts swirling, trying to piece together what happened. And then she remembered. A week ago, she left her laptop in the boardroom during a lunch break. Marissa had been there. Alone. Danielle had thought nothing of it, until now. She dug through her bag, pulling out her phone. She still had Nathaniel's assistant's number saved from her onboarding. With shaking hands, she typed, "Hi, it's Danielle Martin. I need to speak to Mr. Pierce. It's urgent. Someone inside the company framed me." She hit send. A reply came within minutes. "Come to the side entrance. He'll meet you there." Back at the building, Danielle entered through a discreet side door. Nathaniel was waiting in a private corridor, arms crossed, concern etched into his face. "Tell me everything," he said. Danielle told him. The fake email, the HR ambush, the cold stare from Marissa, the laptop she'd left unattended. Nathaniel didn't say a word until she finished. Then he nodded. "Come with me." They took the back elevator to the 35th floor, the executive wing. Only a few had access. Danielle had never even seen this part of the building. Inside a sleek security room, Nathaniel turned to the head of IT. "Run a trace on Danielle Martin's login credentials for the last 2 weeks. Show me every IP." The tech nodded, fingers flying across the keyboard. Moments later, a list appeared. Nathaniel pointed. "What's this? Why is there a login from a proxy IP in Marissa Hale's office the same day the email was sent?" The IT guy frowned. "Could be spoofed, but that's hard to do unless you have admin-level access." Nathaniel's eyes narrowed. "Print that. Now." Later that day, Danielle was called back, this time, to a different meeting room. HR legal. "And now, Marissa." Nathaniel walked in last, holding a printed packet. "Before we begin," he said, "I'd like to introduce some new evidence." He dropped the file on the table with a thud. Silence. Turns out the fake email sent from Danielle's account. It came from inside Marissa Hale's office. During a time Danielle was in a group strategy meeting, with me. Gasps around the room. Marissa's face turned pale. That's not possible." "Save it," Nathaniel said coldly. "We have full logs. And security camera footage. You accessed her unlocked laptop. You framed her." Marissa opened her mouth, then closed it. Elena from HR blinked. "This is serious misconduct." "You're done here," Nathaniel said. "Security will escort you out." Marissa stood, trembling, before shooting Danielle one last look, equal parts hatred and fear. Danielle didn't flinch. When it was over, Nathaniel walked Danielle to his office. "I'm sorry it took this long," he said. "I should have seen it. But you were right to fight. Most people wouldn't." Danielle nodded, still overwhelmed. "There's more," he added. "The Henderson team called back. They want you to lead the next campaign, not assist." "Lead." Danielle gasped. Nathaniel smiled. "They said your voice reminded them of their customers. Honest. Raw. Real." Tears welled in her eyes. "I don't know what to say." "Say yes," he replied. She did. And that's how a girl who was once told she should be sweeping the streets found herself leading one of the biggest campaigns in the company's history.